Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at running progression and how this often isn't a linear process. We'll often see peaks and troughs in training, whether it be down to fitness, illness, injuries, we see holidays, family commitments, work commitments, loads of things can crack into this and really kind of put a dent into our progression at times and make sure that it actually isn't linear. Now that's not a bad thing, these things happen, we have to just accept them as they are sometimes and that's okay. Even if things are going really well, progression obviously still isn't linear a lot of the time. There'll be different factors we have to work around and we have to listen to our body. Sometimes actually holding ourselves back a little bit to make sure we can really see that long-term progression and not focus on just the here and the now and that immediate need, that push and that drive to get progression all the time as quickly as it possibly can be attained. So although we may see still a linear progression, we're going to see some peaks and troughs, some plateaus, and then we're going to see that rise again, or if we do these things well. Now, there are lots of different factors that are going to play a role into this. So at times you may find that you're sleeping poorly, so you need to ease back on the intensity or the volume of training. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't gain fitness still, it just means you'll be slowing down the gain of fitness you've perhaps been having. If you increase, though, however, your nutrition, so if you improve your nutrition with better macronutrient breakdown between proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, if you increase the amount of fibre you get in your diet, more vitamins and minerals from different foods, then actually you could see the same training input create a bigger output in performance because you're putting different things and better things into your body. There's also going to be other things as well in genetics. So, for instance, I have hypermobility. So my genetics don't code for much collagen. So basically my ligaments and tendons are pretty rubbish. So I can get injured quite easy if I just ever so slightly overdo it. Even doing things that are quite sensible, and we'll look at other runners and they're doing some mad stuff like 2 or 3 weekends racing in a row and they don't get injured. If I were to do that, I'd be broken very, very quickly. And even if I don't do those things, I can still get aches, pains and problems as well. So that's something that I have to work around, and that's fine. I have no issue with that at all, but I need to be very sensible. There are loads of other things that may also play a role with this. So you do sometimes have to just find that balance where actually your body's going to hold you back more than your fitness. And often that is going to be the case. Because of our lifestyles these days, people often aren't sleeping very well, they're not eating necessarily very well, they're in high stress scenarios where training is their release, so they do overdo it often as well. So at this point, the body is going to be much, much more of a limit than the fitness. So you may be able to pump in rep after rep after rep of really good pace at target marathon pace, target 10k pace, whatever. But your body may well start to complain at some point. Now, what you have to do at that point, in my view, is to not try and push on. Take an easy week or two, take even a couple of easy sessions, just a session or two here, just to ease back a little bit. Keep yourself moving, dropping down either the volume or the intensity, or sometimes both, and try and get on top of those other factors. You are not going to lose anything. There's an opportunity loss, yes, but there isn't a loss in overall fitness. You will still be maintaining or even gaining. When we see this maintaining of volume or intensity, and we see actually things not kind of take an uptick and keep pushing on, it's essentially the way we see things in a taper for a marathon. We taper so that our fitness levels stay the same, but our performance levels rise as we do this. The same thing can happen when you go through this period of easing back a little bit, or just sustaining what you've been doing, actually hitting a plateau in your outputs in training. So you can see an increase in performance output when it comes to those big race days. So from 1 week to say week 4, if you do 3 weeks of just maintaining that same intensity, that same volume, actually you will still be seeing an increase in fitness because you've been increasing to that week 1. Before that, you've been upping. If you then hold that, you're going to still maintain that fitness and progression. So don't focus necessarily on what your plan is and what you hope would happen, but focus actually on what the outcome is going to be. You're still going to be gaining fitness, but you're not taking those risks. You're not running the risk of injury certainly as much. You're going to be recuperating and ready to push on to the next challenge. Take the long term rather than the short term view. I've been there. I've taken the short term view, and no doubt at some point I will still take that at some point because it's going to depend on what your goals are. If you're going into a big event, you may well just throw caution in the wind and go, if I blow up or have an injury, so be it. For me, I don't like that, because it gets me in a place where I don't want to be not training. I love to run. I do it 5 to 6 days a week, 99% of the time. So if I'm not able to run, it feels pretty pants. So I would rather take a view of kind of keeping consistent, keeping running, and being able to see progression long term, even if that means for short term, maintaining, or even taking a very, very small dip in fitness so that I can keep running. Because 6 months, 8 months, 12 months down the line, I'm going to be in a way better place than I was if I tried to push on, got an injury, and end up really out of running for quite some time at that point potentially. So my advice to you would be, don't worry about progression of fitness and performance not always being linear. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, and also the commitments and other things you have going on in life. Sleep well, eat well, take rest when you need it to from training, or just ease back as much as you need to make sure that you're getting movement forward and getting that progression. It can make it as linear as possible by actually not making the training as linear as you might want it to be. See you soon.